1977. When Bing Crosby died, everyone was shocked, but not because of his fortune from music. As his lawyers read the will, they were stunned. Total estate, $150 million. In 1977, today's value, over $1 billion. But here's the strange part. Only 20% of that fortune came from his singing career. The remaining 80% from investments nobody knew about. Bing Crosby wasn't just a singer, he was a silent investor, and the investments he made changed the modern world. This is the untold story of how America's most beloved crooner became one of Hollywood's richest and smartest businessmen. The story of how Bing Crosby saw the future before anyone else and quietly built an empire while the world only saw him as the man who sang White Christmas. 1926. Bing Crosby was 23 years old and broke. He was singing in small clubs in Los Angeles with a group called the Rhythm Boys. They made maybe $50 a week, split 3 ways. Bing was living in a cheap boarding house, eating once a day, borrowing money from friends. He had talent but no money, and he watched as other performers around him struggled, made fortunes, then lost everything. Vaudeville performers who were stars one year were broke the next. Silent film actors who were millionaires became destitute when talkies arrived. Bing saw a pattern. Entertainment was unstable. Fame was temporary. If you relied only on performing, you were one bad year away from poverty. So even then, at 23, broke and unknown, Bing made a decision. If he ever made real money, he would invest it. He would never rely solely on his voice, because voices fade, bodies age, but smart investments last forever. 1931, Bing got his first big break. He signed with CBS Radio. Suddenly he was making $1,500 a week, a fortune in 1931, during the Great Depression. Most entertainers would have spent it, bought cars, houses, clothes. Bing did something different. He saved it. He took $1,000 a week and put it in a bank account. He lived on $500. His friends thought he was crazy. Bing, enjoy life. You're rich. But Bing remembered the broke performers he'd seen. I'm saving for when my voice gives out, he said. But he wasn't just saving. He was watching, learning, reading. Bing Crosby, the laid-back crooner, who seemed like he never had a care in the world, was studying economics, reading business journals, talking to investors. Because Bing had a secret. He was fascinated by business. While other performers read Variety and Billboard, Bing read the Wall Street Journal. While other stars talked about their next film, Bing talked about market trends. His friends started calling him the businessman as a joke. But Bing didn't laugh, because he was serious. 1936, Bing made his first major investment. He bought shares in a racehorse breeding operation. $10,000. It seemed like a hobby investment. Rich guy buying horses. But Bing studied bloodlines, breeding records, track performances. He approached it like a business. 3 years later, one of his horses won major races. The breeding operation's value tripled. Bing sold his shares for $35,000. His first major win. But more importantly, he learned something. Research pays off. Information is power. And patience makes money. From that moment, Bing's investment philosophy was set. Study everything. Take calculated risks. Think long-term. Never chase quick money. 1940, Bing was now one of the biggest stars in America. His radio show was #1. His records were selling millions. He was making $500,000 a year. Adjusted for inflation, that's about $10 million today. Most stars at his level were living lavishly, buying mansions, yachts, throwing parties. Bing bought a comfortable house in Los Angeles. Not a mansion, comfortable. He drove a regular car, not a Rolls-Royce, regular. And he took the rest of his money and invested it. Real estate, oil wells, manufacturing companies. Bing was building a portfolio. His accountant once asked him, "Mr. Crosby, why are you investing so much? You're making more money than you can spend." Bing replied, "Because someday I won't be making this money. And when that day comes, I want to be ready." But there was another reason Bing invested so heavily. He'd grown up poor. His father was a bookkeeper who struggled to feed 7 children. Bing remembered eating potato soup for dinner multiple nights a week. He remembered his mother darning the same socks over and over because they couldn't afford new ones. He remembered feeling the shame of poverty, and he swore he would never feel it again. More importantly, he swore his children would never feel it. So every dollar Bing made, he saw as protection, insurance against the poverty of his childhood. 1944, World War II was raging. Bing was entertaining troops, selling war bonds, being America's morale booster. But he was also watching the economy, and he noticed something. Technologies were advancing rapidly because of the war. Radar, aviation, electronics. Bing realized, after the war, these technologies would transform civilian life, so he started looking for companies working on post-war technology applications. One day, his business manager brought him an opportunity. Bing, there's a small company in San Carlos, California. They're working on something called magnetic tape recording. The Germans invented it during the war. This company is trying to make it commercial. They need investors. Bing was immediately interested. Tell me more. The company was called Ampex Corporation, founded in 1944 by Alexander M. Poniatov, a Russian immigrant and electrical engineer. Ampex stood for Alexander M. Poniatov Excellence. They were developing machines that could record and play back sound using magnetic tape instead of records or wire. The technology was revolutionary but unproven commercially. Bing's business manager was skeptical. Bing, it's risky. They might fail. Bing asked the key question. But if they succeed, what happens? Well, if they succeed, they could change the entire recording industry. Radio, music, everything. Bing smiled. Then I'm in. 1947, Bing Crosby invested $50,000 in Ampex Corporation. It was a massive bet on an unproven technology. But Bing didn't just invest money. He invested himself. He became Ampex's biggest advocate. He used his influence to convince ABC Radio to let him use Ampex tape machines to pre-record his radio show instead of performing live. This was revolutionary. In 1947, all radio was live. If you wanted to hear Bing Crosby on radio, he had to be in a studio at that exact moment, singing live. But Bing hated this system. It meant he couldn't take vacations, couldn't spend time with his family, had to be in Los Angeles every single week. So he proposed to ABC, let me record my shows on tape in advance. I'll record multiple episodes in one day. You can broadcast them later. The quality will be perfect. And I'll have more freedom. ABC was terrified. Bing, audiences want live radio. They'll know it's recorded. They'll hate it. Bing insisted. Trust me, with Ampex machines they won't be able to tell the difference. After months of negotiation, ABC finally agreed. October 1947, the Bing Crosby Show became the first major radio program to be pre-recorded on magnetic tape. The results were stunning. The sound quality was perfect. Audiences couldn't tell it was recorded. And suddenly Bing had freedom. He could record a month's worth of shows in a few days, then go play golf, or spend time with his family. Other performers saw this, and wanted the same thing. Radio networks saw the cost savings. Recording studios saw the creative possibilities. Within 2 years, magnetic tape recording became the industry standard, and Ampex became the dominant company in the field. Bing's $50,000 investment in 1947 was worth $10 million by 1950. But the impact went far beyond money. Bing Crosby had fundamentally changed how entertainment was produced and consumed. Magnetic tape led to multi-track recording, which revolutionized music production. It led to videotape, which revolutionized television. It made editing possible, made special effects possible, made modern media possible. And Bing Crosby was the catalyst. Not because he invented the technology, but because he believed in it, invested in it, and used his influence to make it mainstream. 1949, Bing was now looking for his next big investment. His business manager brought him another opportunity. Bing, there's a small company in Florida. They're making frozen concentrated orange juice. The brand is called Minute Maid. They need capital to expand. Most people would have ignored this. Orange juice. That's not glamorous. That's not exciting. But Bing saw something else. He saw a product that could be stored, shipped nationwide, and consumed by every American family. He saw scale. He asked questions. How's the quality? How's the price point? What's the distribution plan? After researching the company, Bing invested $50,000 for a significant ownership stake. His friends laughed. Bing, you're investing in orange juice. That's the most boring investment ever. Bing shrugged. Boring investments make steady money. He was right. Minute Maid exploded in popularity in the 1950s. Frozen concentrated orange juice became a staple in American homes. By 1960, Minute Maid was sold to Coca-Cola for millions. Bing's stake was worth approximately $15 million. Not bad for boring orange juice. But Bing's genius wasn't just picking good companies. It was understanding American consumer behavior. He understood that post-war Americans wanted convenience. Frozen orange juice was convenient. Tape-recorded radio shows were convenient. Bing invested in convenience before anyone used that word in business. 1950, Bing turned his attention to real estate. He'd already bought some properties in Los Angeles, but now he was thinking bigger, much bigger. His real estate advisor told him, Bing, Las Vegas is about to explode. The desert is cheap now, but casinos are being built. Hotels are coming. This will be the entertainment capital of America. Most people thought Las Vegas was a joke, a desert gambling town, nothing more. But Bing saw the same thing he'd seen with Ampex and Minute Maid. Potential. He bought 5,000 acres of undeveloped land on the outskirts of Las Vegas. Cost $1 million. People thought he was insane. Bing, it's a desert. It's worthless. Bing smiled. Not for long. He was right.
Throughout the 1950s and 60s, Las Vegas exploded. The population grew from 24,000 in 1950 to 125,000 in 1970. Casinos multiplied, hotels went up, and the land Bing bought for $1 million, by 1970 it was worth $50 million. Bing didn't stop there. He also invested in thoroughbred racing, oil wells in Texas, television production companies, music publishing rights. And every single investment was carefully researched, conservatively valued, and held for the long term. Bing Crosby never chased fads, never invested emotionally, never panicked during downturns. He was the opposite of the Hollywood stereotype. While other stars were going bankrupt from bad investments and lavish lifestyles, Bing was quietly becoming one of the richest men in entertainment. 1960, Bing's accountant sat him down for an annual review. "Bing, I need to show you something. Your investment portfolio is now worth more than your entertainment earnings. You're making more money from your investments than from singing and acting." Bing wasn't surprised. That was always the plan. The accountant continued, "Bing, you're one of the wealthiest men in Hollywood, and nobody knows. You live modestly. You don't show off. Why?" Bing thought for a moment. "Because wealth isn't about showing off. It's about security, freedom, options. I have security now. My children will have security. That's all that matters." But there was something else Bing didn't say out loud. He'd seen what happened to stars who flaunted their wealth. They became targets. For lawsuits, for scams, for jealousy. Bing preferred to be underestimated. Let people think he was just a singer. Meanwhile, he was building an empire. 1965, Bing made another forward-thinking investment. Television production. He'd already appeared on TV many times. But now he wanted to own content. He formed a production company and started buying rights to shows and specials. This was before anyone understood the concept of residuals and syndication value. But Bing understood. He knew that television would need content forever, and whoever owned that content would make money forever. He bought rights to his own specials, Christmas specials, variety shows, and he negotiated deals that gave him a percentage of all future broadcasts. By 1970, those rights were generating hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Passive income. Forever. 1970, Bing was now 67 years old. Most people retire at 67. But Bing was still working, not because he needed the money, because he enjoyed it. His investment portfolio was now worth over $100 million. His real estate alone was worth $40 million. His Ampex shares had been sold for $10 million. His Minute Maid stake had been sold for $15 million. His Las Vegas land was worth $50 million. He had oil wells producing steady income. He had music publishing generating royalties. He had television rights producing passive income. Bing Crosby had achieved something remarkable. Financial independence that would last generations. His children would be secure. His grandchildren would be secure. All because he'd started investing in 1931 and never stopped. 1977, Bing Crosby died at age 73. When his will was read, his estate was valued at approximately $150 million. In 1977 dollars, adjusted for inflation, that's over $700 million today. But here's the truly remarkable part. If his estate had held on to all his investments instead of selling some, the value today would be over $1 billion. The Ampex technology evolved into modern digital recording. Minute Maid became part of Coca-Cola, one of the world's biggest companies. The Las Vegas land became some of the most valuable real estate in America. Bing Crosby's investment genius wasn't just about making money. It was about seeing the future before others did. He saw that magnetic tape would revolutionize media. He saw that convenience products would dominate American life. He saw that Las Vegas would become an entertainment mecca. He saw that content ownership would be valuable forever, and he invested accordingly. But perhaps most impressive, he did all of this while maintaining a full-time career as one of the biggest entertainers in the world. He made 70 films, recorded nearly 2,000 songs, had a radio show for 20 years, did countless live performances, and in his spare time he built a business empire. How did he do it? His son Gary later explained, "Dad would wake up at 5 a.m. Before anyone else was awake, he'd read newspapers, business journals, investment reports. By 7 a.m. he'd made calls to his business manager, his accountant, his advisors. By 9 a.m. he'd go to the studio or recording session. He'd work until 5 p.m., come home, have dinner with the family. And then after we went to bed he'd read more, study more, plan more." People thought Dad was lazy because he seemed so relaxed on camera. But that was an act. Off camera, Dad was one of the hardest working people I ever knew. He just made it look easy. That was Bing Crosby's secret. He made everything look easy. Singing, acting, investing. But none of it was easy. It was all work. Calculated, strategic, disciplined. Today when people think of Bing Crosby, they think of White Christmas. They think of the crooner with the smooth voice. They think of the Christmas specials. But they don't think of the businessman, the investor, the man who saw the future. And that's exactly how Bing wanted it. He once told an interviewer, "I'm just a singer who got lucky." But he wasn't. He was a singer who made his own luck. Through research, through patience, through discipline, through vision. Bing Crosby died a very rich man. But more importantly, he died a very smart man. He proved that you don't have to choose between art and business. You can be creative and strategic. You can entertain millions and build wealth. You can be beloved and be brilliant. The fortune Bing built didn't just support his family. It funded his children's educations, his grandchildren's futures, charitable foundations. It lasted generations. Because Bing didn't just think about today, he thought about forever. And that's the real lesson of Bing Crosby's hidden fortune. Wealth isn't about how much you make. It's about how much you keep, how much you grow, how much you pass on. Bing Crosby sang his way into America's heart, but he invested his way into history, and the empire he built in silence became one of the most remarkable financial success stories Hollywood has ever seen. A story nobody knew until after he was gone, because that's how Bing wanted it. Quiet, strategic, successful. The man who sang White Christmas dreamed of green, and he made that dream come true.